So the essence of Tats was they come and asked you guys to.
Yeah, well,
join?
what happened was that Mick and I came up to Sydney in '74, looking for people to form another Buster Brown, and a very, very colourful identity who used to look after, in inverted commas, bands.
Gudinski?
No, he's from Melbourne. This is from Sydney, right? So this bloke sort of said, he said, look, I know there's a couple of blokes that are trying to form a band. He said, I think you'd go well in it, he said to me. I said, oh, yeah. So he took me around there, and we went to Ian Rylands' place, and they had a band, in those days, so cool. They had a couple of drummers, and they had a couple of guitar players that sort of come in and out, and they were all fucked up on heroin. And
everyone was.
Yeah, everyone. Well,
I was just going to say that, Ray. In those days, there was a shitload of heroin everywhere, wasn't there?
Everywhere. Yeah.
Everywhere.
We were talking about it in the car.
Yeah. Everywhere.
Yeah.
There's not too many musos of your age or era. At least one or two dudes, if not the whole band, were junkies.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's crazy when you think about it.
Yeah.
I think all the bands that I loved and saw, half the dudes were heroin addicts.
Yeah.
But it was just the time and place, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yep.
See, in some cases, it brought out, or allowed creativity.
Yes.
Now, in some cases, it destroyed it.
Yes, went the other way.
So, but it was like we were talking about, I smoked it in the early days, injected it a few times, and I don't know, for some reason it just didn't sit well with me.
Not your thing.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, you did a cookie or a gummy bear.
A gummy.
I'm thinking more of the gummies these days about, erectile dysfunction.
You always have to go there, don't you?
What do you mean? You started it.
That's it. You're following him. Angus, he's following you, right?
He's dragging you down.
He's dragging you down. Come on, let's get back. I
Waterloo.
want to
I'll
get
never
back
forget
to
that.
Rose Tattoo because I loved the Tats. When I bought your first album, oh man, my mother used to bang on my bedroom door and say, "Turn it down."
Not turn it off.
No, not turn it off, turn it down. Stuck on You Like a Rose Tattoo, to me, amongst that album was just a fucking classic.
Yeah.
Go away from this heavy shit. It's still a bit heavy, but what a song. And the performances of the Tats. I want to ask you this. When that original band got together, did you rehearse one song and you just went, oh, fuck, yeah, this is it. This is it.
I think for me...
now, don't tell us too much because you got the fucking book coming out. The book's coming out, right?
I've said this 1,000 times. For me, it was pretty much the first jam. Yeah. From moment, I hate saying moment one because it's such an Americanism. From the first, I remember coming away from there with Mick, and Mick only played. They didn't want Mick in the band, and they had a couple of other guitar players. Now this was like first or second time that I went there to have a jam, and the other singer had just left, and just came in and we sat down and we'd been talking about it, and they said, oh, well, blah, blah, I won't name him, but he's not turning up. He's smacked. So Mick said, well, I'll sit in. And we were just jamming on covers. We did some Eddie Cochran, we did some Gene Vincent, we did some fucking, some early Rolling Stones, we did, just stuff that everyone knew, but we jammed it.
Yeah.
Right. And I'd never heard of, Geordie Leach is my favourite bass player because he's a fucking genius, And, but Rylands had an approach to bass playing, and it was his band. Him and Peter came up with the idea to form the ultimate blues band. And because in those days, the other guitar player that didn't make it was Norm Rowe, who played with Ian in Band of Light. He was the slide player, and so they wanted. Peter, I'd always, because of his blues thing. He always wanted to play slide. So it would have been sort of more. No, it couldn't have been more. I was about to say the idea that they gave me was sort of they wanted a heavier sort of Allman Brothers.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
melody lines, harmony lines on slide, blah blah blah. Guitar taking the place of the keyboards, right? And but it very, very good. When I first started singing with him, I remember Ryland said, "Oh, mate, I've got a couple of fucking songs," and he played me these songs. He said, "Do you want to have a sing on them?" And they were more, there was one called there was one about living on the dole, Degenerate Boy, and there was another. They were sort of punky.
Yeah.
Yep.
And gang 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 gang. But rhythmic
punk was just about to arrive, late 70s, wasn't it, in England?
Yeah.
And that fucking changed everything then, didn't it?
Yeah.
The punk scene.
I think that's what. I think when, because like I said, Rylands had this wonderful chunk, but it was still rock and roll. It was like it had that swing, and when the punk thing arrived, it was just something that opened up. Heavens opened up for him, and that's when he started to play, really, really fast. And it's like with Mick. When I first met Mick, he answered an ad for Buster. So this is like 73, 74. And Mick was playing more like American music, like the Allman Brothers, and he was more a rhythm player, but he was trying to play some solos and shit. And I introduced him to all the Faces and like heavier bands, and he started to get the idea, and then he comes up here and gets under the influence of Rylands. And so, Mick was known for his fast right hand. And when I first met him, he used to play like Pete, strumming. So it had this beautiful rhythmic, like that.
Love it.
And just fucking swung like a shithouse door. And then Rylands, instead of playing ga-dum, ba-dum, ba-dum, he's like, dum 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 dum. So it gave it that fucking butchness, that push and drive, and it just the more we worked with that in the early days, like
fucking Astra Wally.
Well,
that's a super fast song.
Well, you can hear it that. Well, it is and it isn't. It's quick tempo.
Yeah.
It's not super fast. It's just a quick tempo. But you listen to the rhythm section on that.
Yeah.
Fucking swings.
Yeah, drums and bass. Yeah.
Geordie Leach.
Yeah.
Diggers.
Digger Revelle.
Digger.
Not
Dallas
Digger
Royal.
Revelle.
Dallas Royal.
I met Digger Revelle a few times. He was Digger Revelle's a fucking legend.
He is.
Yeah.
Well, that's incredible. Like, really.
Yeah,
Do you reckon it all comes still as heavy as the Tats have been? It's all blues roots.
Absolutely. We're just a very loud blues band.
Yeah, really loud.